I think this bike has just become my new favourite toy. So it turns out, as soon as you unlock it, this thing becomes a load of fun. Right, so this is our digital display here. Now it thinks that my average speed is 72 kilometers an hour from when I was holding the wheel in the air and letting it rev, which I kind of find that hilarious. With a max speed of 56.7 kilometers an hour. So I'm not sure how they worked out the average that's higher than the top speed, but that's interesting enough. Now apparently it's got a built-in speedo, which if it's configured to that hub should be reasonably accurate, the only offset being the potential for different tyre sizes. So yeah, it shall be interesting to see how much versatility I get with this little controller. So with no further ado, we'll get suited up and we'll take this thing out on the road. So rather optimistically, it's got a top speed setting of 72 kilometers an hour, which is not possible. But I've also told it that the wheel's only 6 inches in diameter, which means it has to spin more often to cover the same distance and therefore hit a certain speed. So I hit about 35 k's on flat ground on my first ride, and I just want to see if that's going to up the ante. Alrighty. So that completes the first part of the Mk5 build. Now, if there's 1,000 watts in that motor, no way. It's got no torque, and I feel like I have to help it up the hills, not the other way around. However, on flat ground it purrs along quite happily, and whilst not fast, it is quite a bit of fun. Unfortunately, changing the wheel diameter in the settings did nothing except for affect the speedo, because there's just not enough power being delivered to that motor in order for it to spin faster as it would need to. So I'm going to go and do a little bit of homework and see if there's anything else I can do to try and get a bit more performance out of that hub. I'm just sat in the car reading my manual in the troubleshooting section. No word of a lie. Rim has a buckle or spokes coming loose all the time. We recommend a competent wheel builder to fix any major spoke tension issues. However, there are some good YouTube tutorials on how to adjust spoke tension. Oh, you're speaking my language. Alright, here we have my new Mk5 build with the electric front hub. Now, when I first took it for a ride, I was really underwhelmed by its lack of power. It sort of rolled around and picked up speed, but it's supposed to be a 1000 watt peak motor. The problem is I couldn't get a slight rise in the pavement without it almost completely cutting out. And the reason I think this is because I've elected to forego the pedal sensor, the PAS system as it's known. Because I've already got that on the good e-bike that's hiding under there. I think, or what I hope is happening, is that the motor's configured to still be looking for pedal input. So what I've got there is a list of the programming codes that we can get into via the LCD screen there. And I'm really hoping that once I turn the thing around and stop reading it in mirror, that we'll be able to have a bit of a muck around and get some extra power out of this motor. Alright. What I've figured out is that I've managed to copy the wrong set of codes. Now, I've just gone and painstakingly copied a set of instructions on how to program the little LCD computer. Now, there's a couple of things that I need to change, most of which I'll need to leave. P1. Now, I've heard that should be set at 47, but I was playing around with that one, not knowing what I was doing, so it's set at like 70 something. So I'm going to reset that at 47 and hopefully that does something. Wheel speed pulse setting. Now, I've written down what I should be setting things at. The good news is if I break something, I can just reset all the default values through this as well. P6 is basically nothing. It's the C settings that I want to really get into. So, pedal assist sensor, we want to set at 0. Motor phase set at 0. PAS gear setting set at 8. It's irrelevant because it's not set properly. Okay, C4 is where I think my business end needs to be. Now, I am pretty sure I just need to have that set at 0, so it starts working straight away. The other one is maybe set it at 3 to see if that's any better. Current adjust set at 10, that's the default. LCD brightness set at 5. Cruise control, we'll set at 1 to enable it. C8 is undefined. C9 is a password setting, so you can set that to a 3-number password that you have to put in before the bike will work. I'll just leave that at 0. C10, restore defaults. Now, that's my failsafe basically. C11, it's not for me to use, it's for copying the data set from one of these across to another. C12, minimum voltage setting, that's set default 4. ABS setting, now presumably that's regenerative, I can't even say it. Yeah, I don't even know if that even is a setting, but we'll set to 1 and see what it does. PAS tuning, set 3. Alright, that's all we can really do. Just turn it on. Turn that on. And we'll do this straight away. Okay, max speed, it's set at 68, I'll never hit 68. Wheel diameter, 26 kilometers an hour. Now we hold these two buttons again. Right, P1 is set, because I was playing with that. I'll need to reset that to 47. Because I read that's what it's supposed to be set at. And I was just pressing buttons yesterday and resetting that, so no idea what that's supposed to be. Okay, now P2 should be set at 1. P3 set at 0 because that's pedal assist. P4 throttle setting should be set at 0 for throttle. 5 should be set at power monitor. I'm going to set that at 0 because that's what I read. Should show real-time voltage usage. P6, just leave that. Now, hold both buttons. C settings. Pass sensor set. This is the main thing I think will make a difference. Set 0, which is basically saying 0 should be throttle input only, 1 should be pedal sensors only, and 2 was a mixture of both. I'm always getting notifications as I'm recording and I'm so sick of it. So I'm hoping that this is where I'll regain the most power through that wheel by setting it to throttle input only. So C3 is pass gear settings set to 8, that's fine. C4, throttle function, 0 is 0 start, which is good. It's set at 0, which means 0 start, which means I don't have to pedal first. The only other setting I might try is set it at 3, which means 0 gear, and I don't know what that means. But C5 is current adjustment, default is 10, which is good. C6 is LCD brightness. Now I've just set that to the maximum of 5, which is good, it's what I want. C7, cruise control ability, set that 1 to enable it. C8 is undefined. C9, we don't want to set a password, so we'll just leave that at 0. C10 is restore default. We want to not restore. C11 is for copying the parameters from one device to another, nothing to do with me. C12, minimum voltage settings set to default 4. ABS setting. Now that's set to turn off. Now I'm pretty sure that's for braking. Regenerative, I can't say that word for my life, but we're going to set that to 1. C14 is pass tuning, set 3, but we've disabled it anyway. C14. Right, now hold power long to get out of it. Alright, wonderful. So, I'm hoping that that will mean that the throttle's going to give me all the power now, and I'm not going to see the same sort of underwhelming performance that I saw before. So basically my only real plan here is to hold the wheel in the air, pull the throttle on and see what happens. It doesn't feel any different. Holding the front wheel in the air, it didn't feel like it was spinning with any more torque, but the only way I'm going to know for sure is by going out for a bit of a pedal. Damn, I thought that was a footpath. It's an aqueduct. Whee! You know, this regenerative I can't even say the fucking word. Regenerative braking system. My plan is to hit the next town along here. There should be a petrol station I can go. I just want to check the pressure of the front tyre there, because it's looking a little bit soft. Now, tyre pressures are very important. You want to get it just right, because too much pressure and you run the risk of popping, but not enough pressure and there's too much rolling resistance and the engine's working harder than it needs to. Yeah, bullshit. These tyres are rock solid now. Now before some poor sap decides to go on. Well, disappointingly enough, all my tinkering did nothing. Look, it does cruise along flat ground at a reasonable pace, but I'm really disappointed in the lack of torque. So yeah, I just don't believe that the power rating of that motor is anywhere near what it claims. I mean, it's supposed to be a 1000 watt peak. It feels like a much less powerful engine, or motor I should say, than what it is. I mean, there is just absolutely zero hill climbing ability in that little hub. Now, I've hinted at this a few times, but the plan for this bike, the long-term plan, is to get the two-stroke on there, which will sort out my hill climbing ability. The idea was that this wheel was going to be strong enough to help the two-stroke up the hills. It's not going to work like that. It simply is not, because it can't even get itself up a hill. It's not going to help a motor. However, as a way to get home once you run out of fuel, that's brilliant. And also, you know, it does have the ability to putt along quietly if you're in an area that you don't want to be on the motor. I'm still not done playing around with the settings. There's a few more things I want to research to see if there's any other way I can get more torque out of it. There's significant pressure in the tyres now because there wasn't much chop in there to begin with. Now I've noticed there's some bending in the spokes already, and you can see it here. I don't think that's supposed to happen. There is no torque being put through that hub whatsoever, but it is heavy. So it is something I'm going to really have to look out for, is keeping an eye on the health of those spokes. All right, this is day 3 with the bike. Obviously day 1 was just building. Yesterday was where I wrote out my cheat sheet to try and program the ECU. Now I went for a big old ride yesterday, and yeah, it worked smoothly. I lost power. I went on a nearly 2-hour ride on that battery, which is pretty good. So the power was reduced as the battery voltage dropped. But you know what? Pedaling was a choice. I didn't have to, but without pedaling I'd only hit about 16 kilometers an hour. Now throughout that ride, this was working loose. So when I built it, as you would have seen, I just chucked the bolts through there. I mean, these are threaded. It was fine short term, but I've gone and put Loctite nuts, like I should have done in the first place, to keep that secure. And my custom mount for the frame at the front there is holding together. That hasn't rattled loose yet. Long story short is I did a lot of homework to work out this cheat sheet, work out what the codes were, and based on that what I needed to set each parameter to. Now apparently P6, which seems to be some big closely guarded secret, nobody wants to say what it is. P6 is your unlock code. So after emailing the supplier, they sent me a little video showing how to unlock it. Apparently all you do is set it from 30 to 35, which I don't know why that's such a closely guarded secret. That should come on the box as far as I'm concerned. P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. Apparently, that's all it is. Now, I don't need to go messing with the wheel diameter or anything like that to try and get a top speed, because I can manually set that speed to whatever I want, and it's set to like 64 kilometers an hour. There's no way this bike on its best day is hitting that kind of speed anyway. Here we go.
Whoa, easy, easy.
I think this bike has just become my new favourite toy. Now, I took it out for a little test ride before remembering that the seat post had come loose and was moving about, so I have to tighten that up. The speedo on the bike sort of comes on and off sporadically, but I hit a comfortable 40 k's an hour on the straights, and I was climbing up my hills at an extremely comfortable 25 k's an hour, and that is good.
How you doing?
It's official. This is my new favorite toy. Yeah. So it turns out, as soon as you unlock it, this thing becomes a load of fun. I'm going to hesitate to put the two-stroke on it just yet, just until I can work out how reliable this thing's going to be. It's already making a few grindy noises, but I think that's me being a bit over-eager on the throttle. The thing to remember is, in here, they've only got little plastic cogs, planetary gears, 3 of them inside running around the outer race. So I think a bit of mechanical kindness. Just remember to go easy on, easy off the throttle. There's no resistance, there's no spring or cable in there. It is really easy just to go mash, but you don't want to be throwing all of the power into that wheel. The same as you'd accelerate in a car on a normal day. Easy acceleration and work your way down to it. Once this thing gets going, good gosh, is it a lot of fun.